1-888-565-1470. 1-888-565-1470. So again, the topic is wide open today, but we're going to start with concussion because this is a big thing on the news right now, especially with football season about to start and the NCAA with the lawsuit and all that stuff. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, Dr. Greg, I'm sure you saw it in the news recently that this past week the NCAA actually settled a lawsuit with some former college athletes for almost $70 million, and they got a lot of the rules about managing concussions restructured, and they set up this fund to help pay for the care of athletes who do suffer concussions while on the playing field. So it's been in the spotlight, especially with NFL training camp starting soon. The NFL is still in the process of trying to settle a lawsuit with the Players Association and the alumni, and there's just a lot of stuff in the news going on right now about head injury, which is fine by me because that's one of my favorite topics.
Yeah, and again, it's a touchy topic, but it's something that's been going on for years and years. It's just now with all the news that people are more aware of it. But you got to understand, a lot of times, especially with the high school and little leagues and everything about to start in a few weeks, you got to be mindful of some of the things that's going on. And I was talking to a gentleman the other day that was saying by taking the hits out of football, it's really not football anymore. But if it's your kid or your loved one, then you start becoming cautious about some of the things that are happening in the playing field.
Definitely, and you have a couple of kids now. Would you let your kids play football?
No, I really wouldn't. And again, I didn't grow up playing football. I grew up in the islands where we play soccer. But in the same time, it is a fine line because just like we saw on the World Cup, playing soccer leads to concussion as well. And there's been tons of research going on with ball coming high speed and you hitting the ball with your head that can cause some damage in the head. But the bottom line is, no matter what you do, and I'm glad I do what I do in the office, I'm going to make sure that my sons are well protected. But I'm not going to keep them from a sport that they love, but making sure that the nervous system is balanced and making sure that if they do end up having a concussion, that the proper protocols are taking place. And I think that's what we're missing in this country. It's like we clear them when the big signs are not there. However, we forget to keep following up with them to see what's going on.
And did you see that incident during the World Cup final where Christoph Kramer actually took that vicious hit? And, they were actually, the trainers or whatever doctors that they had on the field were actually checking the movement of his upper neck while they were trying to figure out what was going on with him and if he was concussed. Now, it doesn't reflect very well of them because they ended up trying to put him back in the game, and he was just obviously completely disoriented. He had no balance at all, and, they had to take him out much sooner than they anticipated. So the whole thing was just really poorly managed, and that poor management is just kind of a sign of the times almost, where people put money and player performance over the player's long-term health. And when you think about just the long-term consequences of it, when you have football players that are getting dementia, 6-7 years after retirement, and they're dying in their 50s, then you know that you have a pretty serious problem on your hands.
Well, again, as an athletic trainer, I did work with FIFA, and FIFA has a magical cure for everything. It's the cold spray. No matter what's going on, you spray the injury and it's good. But you got to keep in mind, a lot of these athletes, they have the mindset of put me in the game no matter what. And I think there was a research study that was done where they asked athletes, if you knew that with all the injuries that you have within 5 years you ended up dying, but you were guaranteed to win a championship, what would you do? And pretty much 90% of them said, I would win the championship, because that's the mindset of an athlete. So as professionals, we have to develop a better protocol to make sure that not only we clear them immediately from the symptoms that may happen, but we have follow-up protocols that make sure that they're being taken care of, because it's not the initial hit, it's not the initial concussion, it's the multiple concussions and the compound effect that it's having in the body over the next few years and months that's completely being ignored.
Well, it brings up an interesting question: is should a player's return to the field have anything to do with the coaches and the players themselves, or should a medical professional or some other professional really have a say in when that player is okay to get back on the field?
And I think that's the argument that's going on. But at the same time, having worked with athletes, there's money involved. Whereas you and I, what we do is dependent on what we do with our hands. Their body is how they make money. So if they feel like they can go, they're gonna want to go regardless of what's going on. And it's been well documented that the athletes lie about it. It's like, are you feeling great? Even though they're not, they're having headache, they're gonna lie about it for the simple fact that they want to make the money. And the team owners, they're not looking at them as people, they're looking at them as property. They want to make the money as well. So yeah, a doctor should have the final say so, but keep in mind, who does the doctor work for? It works for the team, so they're gonna do whatever is necessary for the betterment of the team. So in the long run, who end up suffering is the athlete themselves.
And I know this is actually a big topic in the world of mixed martial arts as well, because a lot of these people are promoters who have a lot of money on the line in order to determine whether a match should end or whether it should keep going, and they've completely taken the doctors out of the picture in the world of mixed martial arts, and really, the promoters and the fight staff actually determine whether a fight should end or not, which can leave a professional fighter in a really dangerous risk, especially in a sport like that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the back and forth that's going on right now, and there's a lot of research and a lot of money being put on concussion. But again, I think we've made some big advancement and figuring out when somebody's concussed and what's going on. But my problem is the follow through and the long term effect that we're not taking in consideration, because a lot of time, like when we check athletes that have killed themselves, they were cleared to play, they were fine, but there are long-standing effect of multiple concussion that we're not taking in consideration, that's leading into some of the issues that we're experiencing.
And I wrote about this on my blog recently, so on the Keystone Chiropractic blog, you can actually check that out at healyourselfradio.com and try to find my website. And we're talking about a topic where head injuries aren't necessarily just about concussions either. And it's my theory that the accumulation of subconcussive hits can have just as much of a damaging impact on an athlete's head and their brain, just as much as having, a series of concussions. So one of the things that they were finding is that, everyone knows that, players like a wide receiver, quarterback are at huge risk of getting a nasty blow from a defender, and they're of course at the biggest risk for concussion. But one of the things that people just started looking at is that offensive linemen and defensive linemen who don't have that big nasty hit but have repeated blows to their helmet over and over again are developing these dementia-like symptoms from chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And in my view, that this accumulation of micro traumas is actually having just as much of an impact as those big concussive hits.
Yeah. And that makes sense, because those are the people that are in greater risk, because if somebody has a concussion, you can see it right away and you can actually start doing something about it. When you have the little micro traumas over and over and over, it's very easy to overlook, and by the time the person actually get an injury, it's and I heard this example. It's like there's a lot of people trying to lose weight, and when you look at them, it wasn't the first meal that made them gain the weight. It was multiple meals over a period of time, and all of a sudden one day it's like, whoa, I'm huge. Okay, so it's the same thing. It's the multiple micro traumas over a period of time that's causing that, but we don't have a protocol to even take a look at those things. So by the time we find out there's something going on, it's usually too late.
And I think another thing that needs to be said is that just like a atlas subluxation can be asymptomatic, you can have evidence of brain injury without any symptoms as well. And that's some of the other things that they're finding is when some studies like a plain MRI may not be able to pick up signs of brain injury, but when you use some more advanced imaging, you're starting to see that the axons and the nerves are being degenerated, and that there's actually some brain deterioration in these people even without symptoms. And they've actually done studies showing that a player can be removed from their concussion 17 to 30 years and not have any symptoms, but if you test them with a cognitive evaluation test, they're actually much slower than control groups. So even though people aren't feeling these symptoms, there's a lot of damage that's happened, and there's things on the inside on a deeper level that people aren't picking up because they're just paying attention to the symptoms.
Yeah, and it is a big problem, and I don't know if we're going to ever find a solution quickly that's going to satisfy everybody. And just like you said, I have 2 boys, and if they want to play football, I'm going to let them, because if that's what they want to do. But you just want to make sure that they're protected, and you want to make sure that you monitor them. There's a big difference between playing hurt and playing injured, okay? And with having the multiple micro traumas, you have to be able to know and pay attention to your athletes and pay attention to your children to know when something is off. Because again, they may not have any symptoms, but after a certain amount of hits, it's like, okay, it's time to rest, it's time to step away from the game, let your body heal itself in some form or another. But again, make sure the nerve, and I can't even say that enough, make sure the nervous system is balanced, make sure the nervous system is free of interference. My kids don't play football. My kids are 2.5 and 7 months, but they've been getting adjusted since birth, because I want their nervous system to be working in a way that the body's always going to be able to heal itself and be able to coordinate itself the way it should.
And why don't you share a little bit about the story about Jim McMahon and his experience with Scott Rosa and how he recovered from a lot of CTE symptoms. I mean, Jim McMahon, for the audience members that don't know, he's a former NFL quarterback, and he also played college quarterback at BYU. And recently, he had come out and said that he had chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And one of the things that was a big problem for him was his mood. He was feeling really depressed, and he was having these head symptoms, and he just didn't really know what to do about it. His wife was concerned. There was lots of problems as a result of the mood changes because of his brain injuries, and this guy's been exposed to several concussions. And an upper cervical doctor by the name of Scott Rosa actually reached out to him, said, hey, why don't you check out what we do, and I'll take care of you, and then, we can see what happens. And within starting upper cervical care, they saw a dramatic change in his mood, and as long as that his atlas was in place, that his mood was actually better, and his head symptoms actually started to improve dramatically. And when he went too long between getting his corrections, he actually started to notice that his mood started to fade back towards the concussed, brain-injured state. And now he's going around and being a spokesperson for Dr. Rosa and really speaking about how the neck influences these concussion symptoms.
Yeah, and that's some of the things that people really need to take a look at, especially with football season starting. You want to know your children. Nobody else knows them better. The coach is not going to know them better, because one of the major things that people see after they have multiple concussion, some of the symptoms are not going to be recognized by somebody that don't know them very well, and mood changes, and they get mad for no reason, and things that start as changing in their personality that they themselves don't know what's going on is frustrating. So you want to look out for these things when they start all of a sudden being like a person that's angry all the time, or that they can't control it. That can be a sign of post-conception syndrome. That means that something is going on. So monitor your children. Make sure that you know who they are. Make sure there's no change in behavior. They complain about having headaches and all that stuff. Those are times that you want to make sure that the nervous system is clear, that the atlas is balanced, and the brain is able to communicate 100% with the rest of the body.
Definitely. And there's actually one other video that I want to share with the listening audience, especially if you're handy at a computer. If you go on YouTube and actually do a search for a guy named Demar Dotson, DemarDotson. He's a Tampa Bay Buck, and look up upper cervical with that search phrase, and you'll actually hear a really powerful testimonial, because he was actually I believe it was a defensive lineman on the Tampa Bay Bucks, and he started having some really nasty dizziness symptoms, and his agent actually connected him to Dr. Pierce in order to get upper cervical care. Now, he had been receiving traditional chiropractic treatments through the team's chiropractors, and it just it would help him with his neck and back pain, but it's really funny how he describes, because this is a big 250-pound guy, and he's thinking like, how is this guy gonna fix my dizziness? And all he did was tap me on the neck. And my neck is full of muscle, and I don't know how this works, but he's just talking about how his life completely changed after getting his atlas corrected. So for anyone that's interested, check that out, and you'll get a pretty cool testimonial from a tried and true NFL player.
Yeah, and again, that's the interesting part. A lot of a patient, whether they're big lineman or a tiny person, they're always surprised about how gentle the adjustment is, because again, what we're looking for in our office is not it's not about your pain, your symptoms, the concussion. It's not about that, because you got to understand the way your body works. That little thing in your body called the brainstem is the fuse box. That's literally where everything has to go through. So from the first hit that really didn't do anything, that you got up and shook it off, to the last one that really knocked you out, and that outlet's been taking a lot of pounding, that's putting it out of position, putting pressure on that nerve, not allowing the proper communication to take place. So by restoring that communication, you're not only allowing drainage to go back and forth from the brain to the rest of the body, but you're also allowing communication to take place. The body can heal itself. So it's important to have that check. And just like I said, my kids have never been on a football field, they've never been, but they still have that subluxation that I remove and make sure their body's working properly. So make sure, especially as football season starts, that your kids, your loved ones, whether they're professional or to the Pee Wee football, that they do have that available to them, and that they get checked. And if you're listening and you're not from around here, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to point you in the direction of somebody that can absolutely help you, because our goal and our passion is really to see people life change through this kind of technique. And again, that's why we're on the air, to educate you on some of the option that you have to allow your body to function at its optimal level.
Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a quick break. So definitely go check out the website, healyourselfradio.com, and we'll take your questions throughout the rest of the afternoon. So if you have questions, whether it's about sleep problems, whether it's about concussions, whether it's about migraines, then definitely give us a call. The number is 1-888-565-1470. That's 1-888-565-1470. And we'll be back right after these messages.
When was the last time you had your atlas checked? When your head and neck shift out of place, it can actually affect your whole body. Do you suffer from migraines, TMJ, dizziness, or chronic back and neck pain? If so, you may have an atlas problem, and you need a NUCA chiropractor. NUCA allows for a gentle and precise correction of your spine without any popping, twisting, or cracking associated with conventional manipulations. Call Keystone Chiropractic at 561-247-0044 and schedule a free consultation. Dr. Chung is one of approximately 300 doctors in the world trained in the NUCA protocol of spinal correction. Stop suffering. When your doctors can't determine the problem, you need to contact Keystone Chiropractic. We won't ask you to believe in chiropractic or commit to a lifetime of treatment. What we will do is show you what normal is, and we'll tell you how to get there again. We'll show you using precision technology that your spine has changed for the better, even after one correction. Then we'll show you the path for keeping it that way. If you are tired of constantly patching the problem and you're looking for a long-term solution that you can both feel and see for yourself, then a NUCA office is the right place for you. Once the foundation has been fixed, then we'll teach you how to keep it that way through customized recommendations designed for your spine so that the problem doesn't come back. What do you have to lose? Call today to schedule your complimentary consultation. If you call during the hour, we'll give you a $100 gift certificate to use towards your first visit. No questions asked. No commitments, just a conversation to see if we can help. 2 convenient locations in Boca Raton and West Palm Beach. Call Keystone Chiropractic today and end your days of suffering with chronic pain. Call us at 561-247-0044. Check out the website, healyourselfradio.com. That's healyourselfradio.com.
Are you searching for answers to your health problems? Are you looking for an alternative to harmful drugs and dangerous surgery? Have you tried everything else and figured this is just something you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life? At Upper Cervical Institute of Florida, we provide you with a safe, effective, and natural approach to restoring your health and regaining your life. Dr. Jean-Pierre will find the cause instead of masking the symptoms. Dr. Jean-Pierre utilizes the most specific techniques in detecting and correcting the vertebral subluxation. At Upper Cervical Institute of Florida, we pride ourselves in providing you with the highest standards of healthcare for you and your entire family. The procedure is gentle, effective, and affordable for everyone. Call now to schedule your free consultation. 561-409-3594. That's 561-409-6594. Or visit our website at www.uci-fl.com.
And welcome back to the show. And while we were out, we had a couple questions that we're going to answer. And the main question was, how do we treat a concussion? And before we answer that, I'd like to talk about how is it treated normally out of the office. Just like anything else, when you have a concussion, they monitor you, make sure that there's no bleed, make sure there's nothing like that. But other than that, the real treatment of a concussion is just to treat the symptoms. If you have headaches, then obviously they're going to make sure that they take care of that. If you have dizziness, vertigo, vomiting, whatever it is, that's really what the treatment is, the instant of the treatment, once you've been clear from something that is serious, life-threatening condition. And they make sure that you rest, cold pack to decrease any inflammation, and that's pretty much the extent of it. There's not much known or not much done as far as treating concussion in the medical model, except of treating the symptoms that may occur as far as the concussion themselves. But again, they always want to make sure that they clear the immediate problems as far as bleed. They do CAT scan, they do EEG, just to make sure you clear any serious problem. But other than that, everything else is symptomatic relief.
I think they call that watchful waiting as far as concussion treatment goes. And in order to understand how NUCA really helps people with concussions, it's important to understand that you cannot get a head injury without also getting a neck injury.
Right.
So when you get that head injury, your neck is going to shift out of place as well. And when your neck slides out of place, then that's going to be a limiting factor in how your brain can recover from that injury, because when the neck slides out of place, you're going to compress those veins, it's going to cause swelling to stay in the brain, and it's going to limit the body's ability to heal on its own. And as far as timing goes, most people will actually become asymptomatic from a concussion within about a month. So people usually recommend waiting for about a month, and once they start maintaining those symptoms afterwards, it's when they start looking at diagnosing people with post-concussive symptoms. So what we do is, not necessarily immediately after a concussion, but when you've in that time period where your body's still not recovering from the dizziness, from the headaches, from the mood disorders, then it's a valuable time to get your neck evaluated, because if we could correct your neck in that a healthy frame of time, then it accelerates the healing process if you can get within a month of the incident. And that's one of the things that we have great success in, especially up in Wellington, where people are falling off horses and hitting their heads. I took care of a girl, 16 years old. She fell off a horse, hit her head. 3 months later, she was still dizzy, still having headaches, and took us about 8 weeks and maybe 6 corrections, and she was back riding her horse again, where vestibular therapy and managing the symptoms through a neurologist really weren't doing very much for her.
And that's what we do, and we always want to be careful of saying we don't treat anything. What we do is realign the body, and just like you said, it's really impossible to have a head injury without the neck being involved. On your head, usually we're about anywhere from 10 to 12 pounds, and it's sitting on a 2-ounce bone. So when it's perfectly aligned, the 10 to 12 pound is evenly distributed on the neck over the rest of the body. But when you have any force that can push it out of position, now that same head can weigh anywhere from 40 to 50 pounds, depending on how far forward or backwards or to the side that it's moving. Now you put that kind of pressure on that 2-ounce bone, and at a different angle, the entire body shifts under that, which can create problem throughout the entire body. Whereas the protocol for concussion is really to check the symptoms and take care of the symptoms, take care of the headaches, take care of which is why typically it doesn't work, because they don't take care of the neck itself, which is where pretty much the majority of neurological information come from the brain to the rest of the body. So while we focus on in the office is restoring that head back and put it on straight to restore that normal biomechanical integrity, to release that pressure off the neck, more importantly to release that pressure off that neurological center, which is the brainstem, to allow the body to heal itself. And over time, some of the symptoms that you experience goes away, not because we treated you, but because we restored that body's normal integrity to allow the nervous system to take over and heal itself.
Now, the people that I really want to address are the people that have had some kind of injury, head injury, whiplash, and they're no longer feeling any symptoms. One of the things that I've noticed in my office is when people have had a history of multiple concussions, they usually have very poor posture and very poor balance because their neurological control of their posture is pretty severely distorted. One of the other things that you'll notice with people that are asymptomatic from concussion, so they think they're feeling good, is that they tend to try to pick up memories and solve puzzles a little bit slower. So cognitive function is also a little bit slowed from a head injury as well. And these are all things that actually show pretty good progress and resolution when you get the atlas back in the balance and that the body's able to heal itself again.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm going to ask the listening audience to do is just a quick test that I want you to do on your own. Get in front of a mirror, and it's good if you have somebody with you that they can observe that. Close your eyes, stand up straight with your eyes closed, or whatever you believe straight is, and just when you feel like you're standing straight, open your eyes and see what's going on. If you see your head is tilted to one side, or your shoulders up on one side, or your hip is up on the other side, and the person standing next to you, have them look at you from the side. If your head is translating forward and your shoulders backwards, and a lot of time you may have that little hump in your back, and your hip is, all these things are sign of a misalignment of that atlas vertebra. So those things you're not going to pick up on any examination, the MRI, but those things are the key component that's not allowing the body to heal itself, and that's creating all the symptoms and allowing you not to recover fully. So in the office, those are the first thing that we look at, because immediately that tells me what's going on. And a simple little test that we do in the office as well, which you can do as well on your own, just get two scales that are exactly the same, and if you weigh 100 pounds, guess what? You should put one foot on one scale, one foot on the other, and you should weigh about 50 on both sides. But when you step on that, and anything that's 5 pounds or more, that's an indication that your body's off. And it's not just physical, but neurologically, everything is off, creating that imbalance, putting tension throughout your nervous system, not allowing your body to heal itself. Those are the things that you can do on your own, just to kind of give you an idea what's going on. And if you see any of these misalignment going on, you need to get into a NUCA office right away, because you need to get that evaluated. Because even though those things may not cause any pain, but the destruction that's happening within your nervous system over a long period of time is going to end up in some kind of issue that you're not going to like.
Absolutely. So let's take a minute and switch gears a little bit, and let's talk about some of the success stories that are happening in the office. So do you have anything that comes top of mind?
Yeah, and I have a young lady, and my office is in Boca, and she's traveling from Fort Myers twice a week to come see me. But if you understand her history, she's 20. She's been an athlete all her life. She played football, intramural football. She played basketball. She's played everything. And when I've talked to her, she's been in car accidents. She has so many traumas in her life where she actually now have Lyme disease. And when her mother brought her in to see me, her problem was not only her cognitive function was decreasing, but she kept running into things and falling. So that was aggravating even more, on top of the Lyme disease. And when I did the examination and the X-rays and everything, she had a really bad misalignment of that atlas vertebra. And she's been seeing a lot of different practitioners that has helped her, but still the issues going on. And I started adjusting her, and at first I felt really bad that she was driving, from Fort Myers 2.5 hours just to come see me for a 5-minute adjustment. But then I'm like, wait, she needs the help. And if there was somebody in Fort Myers, I would have sent her there. And I explained that to the parents, and they had no problem driving her back and forth. And immediately she started feeling the changes. And recently she came back to the office, and she was telling me that she went back to Austin, Texas for vacation, and she went back to see a Lyme disease, and they helped her tremendously. I'm like, you know what? The reason why I do this today is because I'm passionate about this. My life was drastically changed by this, and that's why I do this today. So if your Lyme disease doctor is helping you in in the way that you say, you should definitely think of, pursuing a career in that. And she took that in consideration, and she left, and she was pretty happy that I was trying to guide her in the right way. But the following time she came in, she started asking me questions about NUCA, and I was just telling her. But what happened is she was inspired by what I was doing and how her body was completely changed, and how she's able to play basketball again. She's playing intramural sports again. Now she's asking questions about going to chiropractic school and become a NUCA doctor. So whenever those things happen, it's just magical to me, because here's somebody that came in and really stopped playing sport and really tried everything else, and her body was kind of shutting down on her, running into things. Now she's alive again, she's playing, and she's actually trying to change her entire life to become a NUCA doctor, because this thing that we do in the office has helped her tremendously literally get her life back. So this is what I do. This is why I love doing this, because not only my life was tragically changed by this. I mean, I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for NUCA. Her life is changing in that same way, and she now wants to dedicate her life to help other people that tried everything else to get their life back through the NUCA procedure.
It's a great story, Dr. Jean-Pierre. So that's one of the really interesting things, is because there's so few NUCA doctors out there, that we get a lot of people that are traveling a great distance to get to you. I remember in one of my previous offices that I worked at, we had a day where we saw about 70, 80 patients, and the average drive time for the patients that came in was about an hour and a half. So, people were coming from Miami, people were coming from, the Upper Palm Beaches, people were coming from Fort Myers, and they were all, told that it could be an Atlas problem, and that there's only a very precise way you have to go about fixing that. So that's one of the cool things about doing what we do, is that people will do whatever it takes in order to get that problem fixed.
Yeah, and again, I wasn't used to that, and it's something that's happening in my office more and more. And majority of my patients are not people in Boca, ironically enough. Just like you said, a lot of my patients are coming from Miami, Pembroke Pines, Fort Myers, Jupiter, and it's not something that you see in a traditional chiropractic office. But just like me, people are frustrated. They've tried everything else. They haven't gotten the result that they were looking for, and they're willing to try anything. And most people that come in my office, it's usually a last resort, and they tell me, Doc, I've tried everything else. If this doesn't work, you know what, I'm just gonna stop. And fortunately, with what we do, we are able to give them the help that they need by simply tapping into the body's normal ability to heal itself. And that's what I want to make clear over and over. I'm not fixing any of that, and I don't ever claim to. And I want, first thing I tell people, I'm not going to fix you. We're going to work together to allow your body to do what it was designed to do, to heal itself. Right now, if you're listening and suffering, you have everything inside of you that you need for your body to heal. Taking the drugs is actually increasing the amount of inflammation in your body, and actually making it's counterproductive, because it's making you sicker in the long run. Removing those toxins in your body and allow your body to heal itself properly and naturally is the way to go. Change your nutrition, change your diet, change what you do, exercise, and make sure that your nervous system is working properly. Get your nervous system evaluated.
Definitely. So let's take another quick commercial break here before we get into our next segment. So if you're just tuning in, we've been talking about head injuries and concussions, and we've been talking about NUCA. So if you have any comments for us, hit us up at 1-888-565-1470. And of course, tune into our website at healyourselfradio.com.
Are you searching for answers to your health problems? Are you looking for an alternative to harmful drugs and dangerous surgery? Have you tried everything else and figured this is just something you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life? At Upper Cervical Institute of Florida, we provide you with a safe, effective, and natural approach to restoring your health and regaining your life. Dr. Jean-Pierre will find the cause instead of masking the symptoms. Dr. Jean-Pierre utilizes the most specific techniques in detecting and correcting the vertebral subluxation. At Upper Cervical Institute of Florida, we pride ourselves in providing you with the highest standards of healthcare for you and your entire family. The procedure is gentle, effective, and affordable for everyone. Call now to schedule your free consultation. 561-409-3594. That's 561-409-6594. Or visit our website at www.uci-fl.com.
When was the last time you had your atlas checked? When your head and neck shift out of place, it can actually affect your whole body. Do you suffer from migraines, TMJ, dizziness, or chronic back and neck pain? If so, you may have an atlas problem, and you need a NUCA chiropractor. NUCA allows for a gentle and precise correction of your spine without any popping, twisting, or cracking associated with conventional manipulations. Call Keystone Chiropractic at 561-247-0044 and schedule a free consultation. Dr. Chung is one of approximately 300 doctors in the world trained in the NUCA protocol of spinal correction. Stop suffering. When your doctors can't determine the problem, you need to contact Keystone Chiropractic. We won't ask you to believe in chiropractic or commit to a lifetime of treatment. What we will do is show you what normal is, and we'll tell you how to get there again. We'll show you using precision technology that your spine has changed for the better, even after one correction. Then we'll show you the path for keeping it that way. If you are tired of constantly patching the problem and you're looking for a long-term solution that you can both feel and see for yourself, then a NUCA office is the right place for you. Once the foundation has been fixed, then we'll teach you how to keep it that way through customized recommendations designed for your spine so that the problem doesn't come back. What do you have to lose? Call today to schedule your complimentary consultation. If you call during the hour, we'll give you a $100 gift certificate to use towards your first visit. No questions asked. No commitments, just a conversation to see if we can help. 2 convenient locations in Boca Raton and West Palm Beach. Call Keystone Chiropractic today and end your days of suffering with chronic pain. Call us at 561-247-0044. Check out the website, healyourselfradio.com. That's healyourselfradio.com.
And we're back at Heal Yourself Radio Show. So this is Dr. Jonathan Chung with Dr. Gregory Jean-Pierre, and today we're talking about a couple of topics. We've been talking about head injuries, we've been talking about concussions, and we've been talking about NUCA. So for a lot of our newer listening audience, we got to differentiate a little bit between what Dr. Jean-Pierre and I do with the NUCA protocol and what most chiropractors in the area do called traditional chiropractic.
Oh, you want me to take this? All right. And that's the question that we just got from a caller, because they've tried traditional chiropractic, they have herniated disc, they help a little bit, but it really didn't help. So what is the difference between what we do and what traditional chiropractic do? First of all, the premise of chiropractic is to remove interference by adjusting the spine, because the spine is what I usually refer to as the highway of life. Every signal that goes to every part of your body has to go through the spine to the rest of the body. So if that spine is out of position and it's not working properly, just like it says on your shirt there, God posture, if your posture is bad, then that's going to affect your entire body as a whole. So traditional chiropractic is looking at different misalignment throughout the spine, popping the spine back into place to allow those nerves to be free of interference, to allow the body to heal itself. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but typically what I like to refer to that as the chiropractic aspirin. And I'm not trying to offend anybody, but that's pretty much what it is, because if there's issues here and all the lights start going out, I wouldn't go and change all the light bulbs. I would first look at the fuse boxes, see if there's anything going on with those fuses before I actually start changing the light bulb. That's the difference between what we do and what traditional chiropractic do. We do it straight to the source of the problem, which is the brainstem region, because biomechanically speaking, and whenever force travels to always to the path of least resistance. So whenever you have any kind of trauma, the very first bone that misaligns the body is the atlas, and then out of that, everything else misaligned. So if I go and if you have back pain and I adjust the back, you're gonna feel great. You're gonna leave here hearing a pop, and you wake up the morning, you feel great. But that's as good as it's gonna get. And over the next period, the next few days, you're gonna have to come back, get popped again. Versus when we go straight to the fuse box, we get that atlas back into proper position. That allows the body to actually realign itself, which is why what we do is more permanent and lasting, because I'm not readjusting your body, I'm simply introducing a proper vector of force to overcome the resistance of the atlas, bringing it back into proper position to allow the body to do what it was designed to do, which is to heal itself. So again, there's nothing wrong with traditional chiropractic. A lot of patients that we see may not need our level of expertise, and they need the traditional chiropractic. But most of our patients that have seen other chiropractors have not gotten the proper result, and they come in and they get the result that they need because we're focusing on the cause of the problem rather than symptoms.
And you bring up a lot of good points, but some of the big things for me that really separate NUCCA is it's very objective. Like, we take x-rays on people before and after their first correction, and we expect to see changes, because if it doesn't change, then we know that we didn't do our job, and we go back in and we keep working on it until we see that the structural position of the head and neck has changed. And the other aspect of it is that because we use so much precision with our precise correction, that we don't use a lot of force. It's actually very minimal force applied in a very precise direction, so most people don't feel the actual adjustment itself, but they feel the effects of being in a properly aligned position after the fact. And those are the big things that I see, because it's not just about feeling and touching the spine for sore spots and pushing on that area. It's really about seeing objectively, how is the person's posture different? Are we doing nerve scans on people, and are the nerve scans changing? And ultimately, that x-ray has to change, because once I see the x-ray change, and I know that the person's healing potential has increased.
Yeah, and most people, after they've been to our office for the first visit, they immediately see the difference, because the level of care that they receive, the level of examination that we do, you immediately see is there's a difference. And while we're talking, there's something that's been on my mind. I listen to a lot of sports radio, and Stu Gatz, if you listen, and I know you're not listening, but maybe somebody that's listening that knows of him, so I'm calling him out, because a lot of time I hear him talking about herniation and back pain and stuff like that. Both of our offices are right here in the Palm Beach area, so we're issuing a challenge to you. Call the office. There's no more excuses about why your back is hurting you. We'll take good care of you. Call me, I'm in Boca. Call Dr. Chung, and he'll be a good advocate, because then he can see for himself what we do and get the care that he needs. And I know he's been to chiropractors, he's mentioned that on the radio before, and he still talks about that he has that pain. We can help. Okay, come on in, let's do an evaluation, let's see what's going on and see what we can do to help. That way you can probably, because LeBron left, is because your back pain, you weren't able to get him here. So let's get you fixed, so we don't let Bosch slip, and when it comes to 2016, we're able to get Kevin Durant here.
And in other news, the CrossFit Games happened this past weekend.
That was awesome.
So we had a lot of exciting competition. I actually just saw Jason Kalipa post on Instagram a picture with him and his chiropractor, talking about how his chiropractor is a critical part of his team, and for getting him through the games and through regionals.
Yeah, and again, it's no secret. Every professional team in the world has a chiropractor on their staff. I see a lot of golfers in my practice, and the funny thing is, pretty much all the golfers, they have all these aches and pains, but they don't come see me for that. They could care less for that. They come see me because they find out that when their spine is in perfect position, when the atlas is in perfect position, that improves their posture and ultimately improve their game and the precision of the game. And I don't mind doing that, because that's a byproduct of what we do, is balance out your nervous system. So again, these athletes that are out there, the people that are suffering, there is something here that can help. Call our office, and it's not about you coming to my office. I don't care where you go. Find an upper cervical doctor that can actually give you a complete nervous system evaluation to get your body functioning. So if you're not local, give us a call. We'll direct you to somebody that can help you.
Now, with that being said, could you imagine going through some of these athletes do without getting, their spine corrected on a regular basis?
No.
So for like a 165-pound guy to clean and squat 300 pounds over and over again and do it rapidly, and then to see someone like just bash their head against the floor doing handstand push-ups, it just gives me, I just cringe whenever I see that.
Well, what that tells me is that the human potential, the body has such an incredible way to function. It's like, it makes no sense that somebody can bench or squat that kind of weight at that tiny size, but again, the limitation is endless. And when your nervous system is working properly, the body's able to do amazing things, not only on the outside but on the inside as well. Every single disease known to man has a connection with your nervous system not working properly. Every single disease has a connection with inflammation in the body. So what we're doing is tapping into the body's natural ability to heal itself by removing interference and stepping aside. When you come in my adjusting room, it says it clearly, I move the bone and God does the healing. And I truly believe that. I don't heal anybody. I don't treat anybody. What I do is move in interference to allow the body to heal itself. You are perfectly made in every sense of the word. When you have interference due to trauma, injury, fall, it can be chemical, it can be emotional, that knocks you out of position, interfere with the body's natural ability to heal itself. And what we're doing is detecting, locating, and removing that interference to allow the body to do what it was designed to do. So the doctors within, all we're doing is tapping into that so your body can heal itself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could have said it any better than that. So let's jump around and talk about, a couple other things that have been going on in the office. One of the big things that happened in my office this week was actually we had a woman that was, in her older ages, and her balance was just horrendous. Like, she had to come into the office, she was grabbing onto the walls, and she just couldn't make it from point A to point B without, having that wall to clutch onto. And it's one of the interesting things is that, most people want to go see a doctor for their symptoms, but in reality, if you get to actually listen to the patient that's speaking in front of you, they're actually wanting you to help them get pieces of their quality of life back. So she could live with dizziness, she could live with balance problems, but what she couldn't live with is, not being able to play with her grandkids, and things like that are really just what drive people to seek out help, is when they've lost this portion of their life that they want to get back. And that's why I do what I do. I don't do what I do to make someone's back pain go away, because you could just as easily visit a pharmacy and grab some Tylenol to get that taken care of. Although they just released a study that said Tylenol is not effective for back pain.
And they also just released a study that chiropractors are where you need to go when it comes to that, and it was just published on WebMD that's where you need to go for back pain. But again, that's not what we do.
Yeah, like, there's way bigger things out there than to just try to make someone's back pain go away. What we're out to do is to restore your faith in your own body's ability to heal, which is why we call our show Heal Yourself Radio, and B is to give you the opportunity to do the things that make your life worth living. And that's really powerful. What this is all about.
Yeah, it's about regaining your life. And when I'm in the office, I usually show people a slide that has different components in it. It says health, it says playtime, enjoying your family, business, education, all these things that we all strive throughout our day. And what I do is tell them to put them what's most important. And a lot of people say, of course, time with my family is the most important, and education, depending on your age, making money, business. But you got to understand, every one of those things suffer if you don't have your health. You can't enjoy your family. You can't make as much money as you can. You can't enjoy anything. So your health comes first. So again, you need to start taking steps, because if you don't take responsibility for your health, nobody's going to. I can't do it for you. You have to do it. The insurance company is not going to do it for you. So you got to start taking responsibility for it and stop making excuses and start eating properly and start exercising. For God's sake, if you're listening, there's no excuse not to get your nervous system evaluated. You've been to the doctor before, you've checked everything else, but you got to understand, everything else is under the proper under the nervous system guidance. So if the nervous system is not working properly, everything about you is going to suffer. The problem with that is there's not going to be any symptoms. By the time that you get symptoms, maybe 5, 10, 20 years down the line, when you've been diagnosed with a disease like MS and Parkinson and cancer, and it's like, well, this just came on all of a sudden. It hasn't. It's been going on forever, but you never check your nervous system. So take an opportunity while we're on the air, call the office. Again, what we've done is allow you to come to the office, call the office, and ask questions. We'll do a consultation to see if you qualify for our care. There's no charge for that. It's just a conversation. If we can help you, then we will. If we can't, then we'll do our very best to get you to where you need to go so you are able to do what you need to regain your health.
And actually just pulled up this quote. and I think it's attributed to the Dalai Lama, but I don't know that for sure. But it was basically said, when asked about what surprised them most about humanity, said man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then dies having never really lived.
Powerful. But how many of us are doing that right now? So it's chasing the mighty dollar, working 24/7, ignoring our health. And the other day I gave you an example of people in the military that are constantly in sympathetic mode, that they go, and they seem never to be sick. And then all of a sudden they get some serious disease. And it's not that they're never sick, it's just that they're ignoring the symptoms. One of the most common sign of a heart attack is death. But if you're waiting for the symptoms to come, it's usually too late. So get your nervous system. I can't say that enough. Like I said, my kids were born on day one. They got checked and they got adjusted. Not because there was nothing wrong with them. They were just born. But again, I understand that having a perfectly balanced and functioning nervous system is key to health. Period.
Yeah, and that's what was I going to pull up next? Is in relation to that Dalai Lama quote where people are chasing money relentlessly at the expense of their life and their health. And one of the things that I've always been inspired by is I follow a lot of Tim Ferriss's work, where the most valuable commodity of our generation now is being able to have time. Where of course you want to be able to make enough money to go out and do the things that you enjoy doing, but at the same time, there's a difference between making, $500,000 a year compared to $200,000 a year, worth spending 20 hours more away from your family, of spending weekends away from your family, of spending weekends doing chores instead of going on vacations, doing the things that you want to do. And people really have to try to weigh those benefits to figure out what they really want out of life.
Yeah, and one of the quotes that nobody have ever wished on their deathbed that they had spent more time in the office. Everybody always wish that they had more time with their family. But again, the biggest thing, and look at the rate of bankruptcy. Look at one of the major things that get people out in debt is hospital bills, and that's usually because you waited so long that all of a sudden you within the disease process. Take active be an active participant in your health and start doing the things necessary. And again, I'm not saying that you need to come to the office, although you need to, but start watching what you eat, start exercising, stop making excuses, and take care of your health. I mean, every one of us has an hour in our day that we can actually go to the gym and work out. Every one of us have the ability to instead of going to McDonald's or Burger King, eat a salad, drink a smoothie, whatever it takes. But your health must come first. But all that stuff is under the coordination of the nervous system. Not having a proper balanced nervous system is I don't know. It's just not taking care of your health. So make sure you get that done.
And one of the things is, I had a conversation with one of my friends at the gym earlier today. He was just talking about how his performance in the gym was suffering because he just felt worn down. There's a guy that's used to training, 5 days a week, twice a day. He's a guy that wants to make the Masters competition for the CrossFit Games. So he's that type of guy, and he performs at that type of level. But he's just been worn down because he's not sleeping enough. He's only getting maybe 5 hours of sleep, and they're showing that if you get less than 7 hours of sleep, that your immune system suffers by 20% for 24 hours, regardless of what you do. Even if you try to make up the sleep somewhere else, your immune system is shot just from that. So sometimes you just need to take a step back and get into that relaxed parasympathetic mode and get back to doing the things that you love to do or enjoy doing or even need to do in order to preserve your health. And sometimes that might mean you have to spend a couple extra dollars to do it, but in the long run, what's the point of having that extra couple of dollars if you're too sick to use it?
Yeah. And the 7 hours of sleep sounds nice right now. Having a 2.5-year-old and a 7-month-old, Yeah, I don't know if I'm getting 7 hours of sleep, but again, I make sure my nervous system is working properly, and I know if my wife is listening, she's barely getting 2 or 3 in a row. But again, you know what? It's temporary. You want to make sure that you're doing the rest of the things necessary. You're eating right. You sleeping. You drinking enough water. You're exercising, and most importantly, we all get the nervous system evaluated. But I know there's a lot of parents out there that are exhausted. That are, my hats to you guys, because it's hard, and my wife is, it's hard on her, but that's life, and we're gonna get through it.
Absolutely right. Well, I think we're about to wrap up the show now. We're getting the signals to wrap it up. But I had fun talking about head injury and some of this chiropractic stuff as always. And one of the things that I would encourage you to do is definitely check out HealYourselfRadio.com. Find out more about us. You'll find links to follow us on Twitter and to our blogs, and of course find out more about NUCA and how it can benefit your health. So check out HealYourselfRadio.com. This is Dr. Jonathan Chung speaking for Dr. Gregory Jean-Pierre, and we will see you next time.
We're out.
Join Dr. Jonathan Chung and Dr. Greg Jean-Pierre each week on the Heal Yourself radio show every Thursday at 5 p.m. Listen each week as they interview leading health experts to provide you with comprehensive and natural solutions to make your body work at its best and solve chronic health problems. Right here on 1470 AM, the Health and Wealth Network. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors.